So up next, we're going to be joined by another leader from the Young Democrats of Colorado, Karl Taylor, who's going to tell us about voting access in Colorado. Welcome, Karl. Beautiful background you got there.
There it is. See,
hey, how's it going?
We got to celebrate Colorado as it is. How are you, Karl?
You can hear me. I think I can't quite hear you. So give me.
Oh, we hear you.
Yeah, we can. So if you start cursing, please, make sure to censor yourself.
There we go. There we go. Back in the game. How's it going, y'all?
Awesome.
Great.
How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Well, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate the work you're doing as part of the Young Democrats of Colorado. And wanted to start by asking you, what's the safest and most convenient way for people in Colorado to vote for this election? And are there any deadlines or things they should pay attention to?
I love this question. So first off, right out of the gate, if you're listening to us in Colorado, you should go to govotecolorado.com. Once you're there, you're going to be able to find all the information you need to check whether or not your registration is still valid, whether or not your ballot is in the mail yet. You'll be able to use our ballot trace system to kind of track things down. You'll be able to find the nearest voting service polling center near you in case you run into trouble. And that is just the best resource for people in Colorado listening right now. I'd say for everybody else, check out iwillvote.com. That's probably where you're going to find that same information for your state. But here in Colorado, I think it's extra important that folks check out govotecolorado.com. And the reason for that is that we have already seen efforts to kind of undermine ballot access this cycle in this state.
So yeah, we talked about that a little bit before. Do you want to share what's been going down with that?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about this. So a couple of weeks ago, Commissioner DeJoy, Postmaster General DeJoy, and the folks at the post office sent out a mailer to a bunch of different people in Colorado. Pretty much any registered postal customer got this mailer. And this mailer was full of, frankly, just misleading and inaccurate information. To give you one example, Colorado, one of the things I love about this great state is that we have had all mail-in balloting since 2013. I mean, if you are a Coloradan, a ballot comes to your house, and then you have the choice to fill it out, take it back in person, send it back in via the mail. And we did that because, making sure every citizen's voice is heard is how we get better representative government. And, much to my chagrin as a partisan Democrat, Republicans have still gotten elected in this state. And I think you see that with the Hickenlooper race. He's facing Cory Gardner, a Republican who got elected under an all mail-in balloting regime. And so this mailer, oh man, it made me angry. There's just so much misinformation. It asked people to send their ballot in 7 days prior to the election, which I have to tell you, if you do in this state, might mean your ballot doesn't get counted. It suggested that you may or may not need to affix postage to your ballot, which is wrong. If you don't have postage on something you put in the mail, it's not going to get sent. And it even suggested that people would need to request their ballot 2 weeks ahead of time, which, again, isn't accurate. We mail ballots to everybody.
Wow.
Yeah, we really appreciate that. I think that, we're seeing a lot of just like clear examples of this happening in various states. I know The Guardian just put out a piece about Texas. And so I think the more that we can kind of bring these to light and get people, just the information that they really need, like the stronger that we'll have like actual representation come November.
I think that's totally right. I mean, out here in Colorado, we've been very fortunate. Former Young Democrat, current Secretary of State, Jenna Griswold, really jumped into action on this for us over the course of the last week. She filed a case, just heard yesterday that a judge has issued an injunction. The judge actually said, I just think it's remarkable. He called this a very clear effort to sort of sow confusion amongst voters by delivering this kind of contradictory message, right? And so she was able to kind of get that case heard. And I've heard that in the last couple of hours, they are now going to stop sending this mailer out. They're going to destroy every copy they still have. But I mean, we're lucky. We've got a Democratic Secretary of State who is dialed in and fighting to make sure the voice of every Coloradan is heard. And that's not true in every state in this country, right? And so I just think it is so important that people tune in and pay attention, because if there was ever a year where every voice needed to be heard, I know we say it all the time, but it is this year.
So to kind of summarize some of the stuff you've been saying, it sounds like everyone in Colorado is going to get a mail-in ballot sent to them. They don't have to request it or anything like that. But then if they want it to make sure it gets counted, they can put it in a drop box. And then if they want to put it in the mail, when do you suggest they do that?
I would say maybe not much earlier or later rather than like 2-3 weeks out. I think once you get to that point, it's really time to just visit the VSPC and drop off your ballot. What's great is that govotecolorado.com. I mean, you can see this. We have VSPCs in every county in the state. They're super convenient. I know for me, I live here in Denver. It's maybe half a block. I've got to walk, a couple blocks to drop off my ballot. It might not be true in your county, but generally they're in really public, easy places to get to, places like a rec center, places like a park. And so that's what, if you find yourself getting closer to E-Day before you vote, that's probably your best bet.
Thank you so much, Karl. I really appreciate you telling us about what's going on with voter access in Colorado, and really appreciate also you telling us about the young or recently young Dem who's fighting the good fight, and need all of us out there with her. So appreciate that very much. And maybe this is a good time to remind everyone about the fundraising push that we're doing today. So basically we are, looking to get a Democratic majority in the Senate. We have targeted these key super states where there's an opportunity to really flip those seats. In Colorado, that's John Hickenlooper. In Georgia, that's John Ossoff. And if you are worried about what's going to happen now that RBG has passed, what we need is a Senate that's controlled by Democrats to make good choices about who's going to get put in that seat. And to support getting Democrats into those seats, recommend you go to actblue.com/donate/radio1103. Any money you put there, $5, $10, $15, $20, $50, will go to these two campaigns, split straight down the middle. And I think last I checked, we were like 2/3 of the way to our goal of $500 for today. So if you've got a little bit of change, I know a lot of these artists were stoked to help be part of motivating the generation of these donations where you maybe otherwise wouldn't have been made. So appreciate if you go over there and toss in a little bit of money to help get these Democrats elected to the Senate. So that's actblue.com/donate/radio1103. And thank you, Karl, for joining us. And we're now going to have our last musical performance of the day.